Next up, we're uncovering the story of a coin that's more than 100 years old, the 1918 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary old cent, but don't let that fool you. Some rare versions of this penny have sold for over $12,000 at major auctions. Even average examples in nice shape can bring in hundreds. So before you spend that old copper coin sitting in your drawer, stay tuned. You might be holding a century-old treasure worth far more than 1 cent. Let's get started. The 1918 Lincoln wheat penny is one of the classic early coins from the Lincoln series, which began in 1909. It was struck at 3 different mints that year: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a small D, and San Francisco with an S. These coins were made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing just over 3 grams. America was coming out of the First World War, and the economy was changing fast. Every penny from that period carries a piece of history from a time when the country was rebuilding and modernizing. The obverse design features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. It shows Lincoln facing right, with the motto, "In God We Trust," along the top, "Liberty" on the left, and the date, 1918, on the right. Below the date, you may see a small mint mark, D for Denver or S for San Francisco. If there's no mark, your coin came from the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse side, 2 wheat stalks curve upward on each side, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that sits the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This simple but strong design became an icon of American coinage and lasted until 1958. Now, what makes the 1918 penny rare isn't its mintage number. Over 300 million were produced across all 3 mints. The real rarity lies in condition and mint errors. Most of these pennies circulated heavily, passing through millions of hands. Finding one today with sharp details, full color, and no wear is extremely hard. Let's talk about value. A heavily worn 1918 penny from Philadelphia is usually worth 50 cents to $1. From Denver or San Francisco, it might bring $2 or $3, but the value increases sharply with better grades. In about uncirculated condition, they sell for $15 to $30. In mint state, they can reach $150 to $500. And if your coin has that rich, original red color, what collectors call full red, the price can skyrocket. A top-grade 1918 D penny with full red luster once sold for over $9,000, and a 1918 S in perfect uncirculated condition hit more than $12,000 at auction. Those are real numbers, verified in collector records. There are also varieties and errors to watch for. Some 1918 pennies show a repunched mint mark, especially on the Denver issues. Others have off-center strikes or die cracks. A few rare ones display minor doubling on the obverse, especially around Liberty or the date. These details may look small, but collectors pay big premiums for them. If you think you've got a valuable one, check a few things carefully. Start with the color. Red pennies are the most desirable, followed by red-brown and then brown. Then check Lincoln's jawline and coat for wear. The sharper the details, the better. On the reverse, focus on the wheat stalks. If you can see the fine lines clearly, your coin likely hasn't seen much circulation. Handle your coin carefully. Always hold it by the edges and never clean it. Cleaning destroys the original surface and cuts its value in half or worse. Store it in a soft plastic coin flip or capsule to keep it safe from oxidation. If you believe your penny might be special, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can increase both its credibility and market value. Let's step back and think about what this coin represents. The year 1918 marked the end of World War I. Millions of soldiers were returning home, and America was entering a new era of progress. Every 1918 penny circulated in that world, through factories, farms, and busy city streets. When you hold one today, you're holding a survivor from a century ago. Collectors love the 1918 penny, not only for its age, but for its accessibility. Anyone can find one, but very few can find one in mint condition. That balance of common history and rare perfection keeps collectors interested. To summarize, the 1918 Lincoln wheat penny might be small, but it carries big value potential. Average coins bring a few dollars, while those in top condition can reach thousands. The key is condition, mint mark, and color. Even a coin you think looks ordinary could turn out to be a high-value collectible once examined closely. So before you toss that old penny aside, take another look. It might be worth more than you think. Tell me in the comments if you've ever found a wheat penny from the early 1900s. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Next up, we'll uncover one of the most mysterious coins in American history, the 1944 D silver penny. This coin looks like an ordinary penny at first glance, but it isn't. It's made of steel, not copper, and it's one of the rarest U.S. coins ever struck. Some collectors have paid over $100,000, and in top condition, one sold for more than $150,000 at auction. If you ever find a silver-colored penny with a 1944 date and a small D under it, you might be holding a real fortune. Let's see why this coin exists and what makes it so valuable. In 1943, during World War II, the U.S. Mint stopped using copper for pennies. Copper was urgently needed for war materials like shell casings and electrical wiring. To save resources, the Mint made the 1943 Lincoln cents from zinc-coated steel. They looked silver, not copper, and became known as steel pennies. In 1944, production switched back to copper. However, a few leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally got stuck in the coin presses and were struck again in 1944. That accident created one of the greatest minting mistakes in U.S. history. The 1944 D steel penny, often called the 1944 silver penny. The 1944 D version was struck at the Denver Mint. On the front, you'll see Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right, with Liberty on the left, the date 1944 on the right, and a small D mint mark below. The reverse shows the familiar wheat stalks framing 1 cent, United States of America, and the phrase, E pluribus unum. The design looks like any other wheat penny, but the difference is the metal. The 1944 D silver penny is magnetic, while regular 1944 copper cents are not. That's the easiest way to tell them apart. Only a small handful of 1944 D steel pennies are known to exist. Experts estimate fewer than 10 genuine examples. Most were discovered by sharp-eyed collectors who noticed the unusual color. Because of that, every authentic piece has been carefully authenticated and graded by major services like PCGS or NGC. Let's talk about value. Even a heavily worn 1944 D steel penny can sell for $30,000 to $50,000. In mint state condition, the price climbs fast. One MS-63 example sold for $115,000, while another near-perfect MS-66 coin crossed $150,000. That's the kind of coin every collector dreams of finding. But be careful. There are thousands of fakes. Many ordinary 1944 copper pennies have been coated with silver paint or plated in zinc to look like steel. Others are altered 1943 steel cents with the date changed to 1944. To check authenticity, use a small magnet. Real 1944 D silver pennies stick to magnets because they're made of steel. You can also weigh them. A genuine one weighs about 2.7 grams, while copper cents weigh 3.11 grams. If your coin passes both tests, you should send it to a grading company for verification. Now let's talk about how this error happened. When 1943 steel blanks were left in the minting machinery at the end of the year, they were accidentally struck in 1944 alongside the new copper planchets. The Denver Mint, which produced over 430 million copper cents that year, probably made only a few of these steel errors before the mistake was caught. That tiny number is why they're so rare today. Every genuine 1944 D silver penny carries historical significance. It represents the U.S. Mint's transition from wartime to peacetime production. It also shows how even the smallest errors can turn ordinary coins into valuable artifacts. Collectors see it as one of the holy grails of Lincoln cents, along with the 1909 SVDB and the 1955 double die. If you ever find a silver-looking penny dated 1944, check it carefully. Use these steps. First, test it with a magnet. Second, weigh it on a digital scale. Third, look at the details. Genuine examples always have sharp, even lettering and clear mint marks. Poorly made fakes often show uneven edges or faint details. Even though the number of confirmed examples is tiny, people still find them occasionally in old collections or coin jars passed down through families. That's what keeps the legend alive. Imagine finding a coin worth $100,000 sitting in a tin box for decades, waiting to be discovered. It's happened before. Collectors also value the 1944 D silver penny because it bridges two major historical moments. The war was ending, and America was moving forward. Yet this coin, struck by mistake, reminds us how history sometimes leaves small traces behind in unexpected ways. If you own one, or think you might have found one, never try to clean or polish it. Cleaning damages the surface and reduces value. Instead, keep it in a protective holder and contact a professional grading company. Even if it turns out not to be genuine, it's still a part of your collector's story. The 1944 D silver penny is more than metal. It's a mistake that became a masterpiece. A small reminder of wartime America, precision, and chance. Few coins combine rarity, history, and beauty the way this one does. So the 1905 Indian head 1 cent is not just an old copper coin. It's a 120-year-old piece of American history that still surprises collectors today. Most people overlook this penny because it looks ordinary, but hidden among them are a few rare pieces worth a fortune. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin had a mintage of over 80 million. That sounds common, but here's the truth. Less than a few hundred have survived in perfect red condition. Those are the coins that turn collectors' heads and sell for shocking prices at auction. Let's start with the design. On the front, you'll see Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress. It was created by James B. Longacre, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. It's one of the most iconic American designs ever made. The word liberty across the headband is the key. If it's bold and clear, the coin's value instantly jumps. On the back, the wreath and shield represent strength and unity. If those tiny details are sharp, your coin might be worth far more than you think. Now let's talk about what makes this coin valuable. The 1905 penny was made of 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. Over a century, copper changes color. Some pennies have turned deep brown, others still glow bright red. Coin graders use 3 color categories: red, red-brown, and brown. Red is the rarest. It means the coin kept its original shine, and collectors pay huge money for that. In average circulated condition, the 1905 Indian head is worth between $1 and $5. That's the kind of penny you might still find in an old drawer or inherited collection. But when you move up in condition, the price starts climbing. A lightly circulated example can bring $20 to $50. If it's uncirculated, meaning no wear and full detail, you're in the hundreds. Mint State 63 red examples regularly sell for around $250 to $400. Mint State 65 red coins can bring $1,000 or more. But the real shock comes at the top. A flawless 1905 Indian head 1 cent graded MS 67 red by PCGS once sold for over $14,000. That's right. A single copper penny that cost 1 cent in 1905 is now worth more than a used car. That's not the only record. Coins with rare die errors or perfect luster have reached prices between $10,000 and $14,500 at major auctions like Heritage and Stack's Bowers. Those are the dream pieces every collector searches for. Now, how can you check if your penny could be valuable? Here's what to look for. The word liberty, Must be fully visible with no fading. The headdress feathers should have sharp edges and no flattening. The bow and wreath on the reverse should have full detail. The color matters. Bright red or red-brown means higher value. Avoid cleaning. Even a perfect coin can lose 80% of its value if it's cleaned. If your coin looks old and dark, don't throw it away. Even brown examples are valuable if they have good detail. Collectors love original surfaces, and old patina shows authenticity. Some naturally toned pieces sell for more than freshly cleaned ones because they look untouched and genuine. Error coins are another hidden treasure. Off-center strikes, die cracks, or double die obverses from 1905 can sell for $200 to $2,000, depending on the error size and condition. These are extremely rare but not impossible to find. The 1905 Indian head cent also holds historical importance. It was among the last few years before the Lincoln design replaced the Indian head series in 1909. That makes it one of the closing chapters of an era that collectors deeply respect. Each of these pennies was once a tool of trade, used by Americans who lived through the early 1900s, a time before cars were common, before the Great Depression, and before the modern dollar existed. Holding one today connects you directly to that history. If you find one in your home or your grandfather's old jar, handle it carefully by the edges. Put it in a coin holder or plastic flip. Even if it's worth only a few dollars now, its value could rise over time. Demand for Indian head cents keeps growing as more people rediscover coin collecting. So before you overlook that old copper penny, take a closer look. Check the color, check the detail. You might be holding one of the few 1905 Indian head cents that survived in remarkable condition. And if it's the right one, it could be worth more than $14,000. Every old penny tells a story, but this one tells a story of value that time couldn't erase. It's not just a cent, it's a relic of craftsmanship, history, and opportunity, waiting to be recognized by the next person who looks closely enough. That's the power of the 1905 Indian head 1 cent. Small in size, huge in history, and possibly worth a small fortune. Next up, we're looking at a coin that many people have seen, but few truly understand. The 1940 Jefferson nickel is one of the most fascinating pieces of American coinage from the pre-war era. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary 5-cent coin, but the truth is, some examples of this nickel are worth thousands of dollars. Stay with me to the end, because by the time we're done, you'll know exactly what makes this 85-year-old coin so special and how to spot one that could change your collection forever. Let's begin with a little history. The 1940 Jefferson nickel was minted just before the United States entered World War II. It marked the second decade of the Jefferson series, designed by Felix Schlag in 1938. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, America's third president, while the reverse shows his famous home, Monticello. This design became one of the most recognized in American coin history. 3 mints produced the 1940 Jefferson nickel: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can find the mint mark on the reverse to the right of Monticello. No mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia. D stands for Denver, and S for San Francisco. Together, they produced over 259 million nickels, making this one of the highest mintages of the early Jefferson era. But don't let that number fool you. Even with high production, truly perfect coins from this year are rare. The metal composition is the same as modern nickels, 75% copper and 25% nickel. However, the way they were struck and stored back then makes a big difference. Most 1940 nickels circulated heavily during the war years, losing their shine and fine details. Those that survived in mint state condition are now prized by collectors. Let's talk about design quality and value. On most 1940 nickels, you'll notice that Jefferson's cheek, jawline, and the steps of Monticello are often weakly struck. That's normal for this era. But when you find one with full steps, clear, sharp lines across the Monticello steps, you're looking at a gem. These coins are extremely scarce because the dies used in 1940 wore out quickly. Now for the values. A 1940 Jefferson nickel in worn, circulated condition is worth between 10 and 25 cents. That's pocket change value. But if your coin is uncirculated, meaning no signs of wear and full original luster, the value climbs sharply. A Philadelphia 1940 nickel in mint state 65 can sell for $15 to $25. In mint state 66, prices reach $75. A 1940D in MS 66 with full steps can easily sell for $500. The 1940S is much tougher to find in top grades, a true collector's favorite. In MS 67 with full steps, it can reach over $2,000. The real record comes from auction history. In 2020, a 1940 Jefferson nickel graded MS 67 full steps by PCGS sold for $6,600. Another from San Francisco reached $7,800 due to its sharp strike and perfect surfaces. Those are real numbers from major U.S. auction houses like Heritage Auctions. Imagine a 5-cent coin selling for more than a month's salary. Now let's talk about errors. The 1940 series includes some very desirable minting mistakes. Look for off-center strikes, die cracks through Jefferson's face or Monticello, and double die up verses where letters appear doubled. These can sell anywhere from $100 to $1,500, depending on condition and clarity. Even minor misalignments or die breaks can add collector value. Color and surface quality matter too. Bright, original luster adds premium value. Coins with rainbow toning, natural shades of blue, gold, or violet are especially sought after. But remember, never clean your coin. Cleaning removes the natural surface and can instantly drop the value by 80% or more. Always leave the coin in its original state. The 1940 Jefferson nickel also holds historical meaning. It represents the last pre-war issue before the United States switched to the famous wartime silver nickels in 1942. Those later coins contain silver instead of nickel because of military demand. So the 1940 issue marks the end of an era, the last full copper-nickel Jefferson before America entered the war. That alone makes it a key date for collectors who build complete historical sets. If you find one of these coins, handle it carefully. Hold it by the edges or wear cotton gloves to avoid fingerprints. Store it in a coin holder or capsule. Even if your coin is not a high-grade piece, it's still a solid collectible that connects you directly to the early 20th century. Let's summarize the values. Circulated, 10 to 25 cents. Uncirculated, MS63 to MS65, $10 to $50. Gem, MS66, $75 to $150. Full steps, MS67, $1,000 to $2,000. Record price, MS67FS, over $7,800. Major mint errors, $100 to $1,500. Every 1940 Jefferson nickel tells a story. It's a story of American craftsmanship, wartime change, and collector passion. Next up, we're diving into one of the most collected and fascinating coins from early 20th century America, the 1940D Jefferson nickel. This coin may look ordinary at first, but some pieces from this year have sold for thousands of dollars. You might even have one sitting in your change jar without realizing it. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes the 1940D nickel special, how to spot valuable ones, and how much they can be worth today. Let's get started. The 1940D Jefferson nickel was minted in Denver during a time when the world was on the edge of war. America had not yet entered World War II, but industries were already preparing for massive production. The Denver Mint struck more than 43 million nickels that year, but not all were created equal. Some came out with sharper strikes, while others showed die cracks, double dies, and weak steps. Small details that now make collectors hunt for rare examples. Let's talk about the design. The obverse shows the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. His face looks left, with the word Liberty and the year 1940 inscribed to the right. On the reverse side, you'll find Jefferson's home, Monticello, centered perfectly, with E pluribus unum on top, and United States of America below. The mint mark D appears to the right of Monticello, just beside the building. Many coins from this year show slightly weak details on the steps of Monticello, and that's important. Collectors pay high premiums for coins with fully visible steps, the famous full steps designation. So, what makes the 1940 D Jefferson nickel rare? It's not the mintage itself, but the condition. Finding one in worn, circulated condition is easy, but finding one with sharp details, full steps, and no scratches or dullness is a real challenge. Most nickels from that period went into circulation and stayed there for decades. Only a few were saved in mint condition, and those are the ones that command big money. Let's look at value. A typical 1940 D nickel in average circulated condition is worth around 25 to 50 cents. But when you move into higher grades, the price climbs fast. In about uncirculated condition, it might sell for $3 to $5. A certified mint state example without full steps can bring $30 to $50. But if you have a mint state coin with full steps, clear, unbroken lines across Monticello, you're holding something valuable. Prices for those can range from $150 to $800, depending on grade and eye appeal. The record price for a 1940 D Jefferson nickel with full steps sold at auction for over $4,000. That's right, a 5-cent coin that fetched thousands because of its sharp detail and perfect preservation. Now let's talk about what to look for. Start with the mint mark. Make sure it's a clear D, not faint or doubled. Examine the steps on Monticello using a magnifier. Count all 5 or 6 steps and check if any are broken or worn. Next, check for doubling on Jefferson's eye, lips, or the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. Some coins show minor doubling that can raise their value. Finally, look for luster, that original shine that reflects light smoothly across the surface. The more luster you see, the higher the grade. Collectors also care about strike quality. Denver minted coins from 1940 are often sharper than those from Philadelphia. But still, not all have perfect strikes. If your coin looks crisp, with strong details on Jefferson's hair and Monticello's columns, it stands out from the rest. If you find one in good condition, protect it immediately. Use a soft cloth to handle it by the edges and place it in a coin holder or capsule. Avoid cleaning it. Cleaning removes original luster and can cut its value in half. For serious collectors, sending the coin to a grading service like PCGS or NGC is the best way to confirm authenticity and condition. A certified grade can turn an ordinary coin into a valuable collectible. The story of the 1940 D Jefferson nickel also connects to history. This was one of the last full nickel issues before wartime changes. Just a few years later, in 1942, the mint replaced part of the nickel content with silver to save metal for the war. That makes pre-war nickels like the 1940 D even more interesting to collectors. They represent the final years before America shifted its entire economy for military production. Let's summarize. The 1940 D Jefferson nickel may not be rare in number, but its true value lies in the details. The sharpness of the strike, the clarity of the steps, the quality of the luster, and the absence of wear determine whether it's worth pocket change or a collector's prize. From a few cents in worn condition to over $4,000 for a pristine full steps example, this coin proves that quality matters more than quantity. So before you spend that old nickel in your change jar, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of American history worth far more.